Seeing ourselves as small fish in a big pond is a pretty common mindset for an adult. But I'd argue that as children, we don't see ourselves that way. We see ourselves more as limitless and unstoppable. As far as I could remember into childhood, I remember feeling loved, feeling very free, and being very smiley. I have a vivid memory from being like a 5-6-year-old child, dancing with my brother Andy and my cousins Christelle and Sandy in the middle of all our relatives, and my aunties and uncles saying, "Wow, galing, keep dancing, and we would just get all these coins thrown at us, and the joy of dance entered our bodies, and right at a young age, I already knew the joy of dance, but more importantly, the joy of connection, the joy of dancing, and the joy of being affirmed by those people that you love." Things wouldn't really change for me until I got into elementary school. And so when I was in elementary school, I wasn't really great at sports. I was pretty clumsy. And so I had two really mean-spirited classmates who called me weirdo, sissy, weakling. And at a very young age, I started retreating into myself. And my siblings know, but I started to evolve from this smiley, loving, free kid into the teenage half smile. I started growing into a more muted version of myself because I started caring a lot about what other people think of me. And I think about that time in my life. Why was I so scared? It was also during the backdrop of this, the 80s and 90s homophobic rhetoric that really made me even remove the possibility of being queer or gay from my mind because I did not want to be bullied. I did not want to be teased. I did not want to stand out. I felt more comfortable retreating into myself and being in the background. Things would really change for me when I decided to just go into other things. The great thing is that my parents never expected us to do a particular thing. If we had interest, they would just support it. But the biggest game changer for me was when I discovered hip-hop dance and locking. It was in my neighborhoods, it was in our local rec center, it was at the family parties, it was on the playground during recess and lunch, it was all over my community. And I really have to give it up to our black and brown pioneers in our neighborhood who really embraced me and really helped me understand the transformative power of hip-hop to really feel what it means to live with peace, love, unity, and having fun. People in high school noticed that I love dancing so much. I got really obsessed with learning the most current hip-hop social dances. So how many people remember the Running Man? Or my all-time favorite, the Biz Marquee. I loved dancing, but I didn't love dancing by myself. I loved dancing with people. And some of my fondest memories of growing up were those garage sessions at Jay's house, where we would teach each other, we would learn, and we'd really have that safe space to feel like we belonged to something greater than ourselves. I finally reached my next goal, which was getting into a UC school. And so, yes, I got into this school, TEDxUCIrvine. Yes, I loved it here. My world changed. I loved growing up as the oldest of 4 siblings. But there was always a part of me that really craved an older brother or older sister, or how we say in Tagalog, kuyas and ates. And now here I was at UCI. Not only did I have Kong and Kim and Gina, my dorm mates, with me, but now I had kuyas and ates like Lloyd, Myra, and Jenny telling me, you can do anything you set your mind to. Just go for it. So the combination of their encouragement and me searching for that experience I had in high school led me to create my dance family known as Kaba Modern. And I don't think I was prepared as a 19-year-old to be the founder or the director of anything. At that point, I was still really shy, so even when I would create, I'd prefer to put myself in the back. But I did know that the importance of creating a safe space where people of all different backgrounds could feel like they belonged and that they can grow and be who they are and be united through dance. So I kept going through all my UCI journey, and I would see all of these teams pop up here and there. And our reach did get bigger when we did represent the United States at the HHI World Hip Hop Championships. And from that, our reach got even bigger when we got a chance to be on an MTV show called America's Best Dance Crew. And and while it was amazing to have that exposure, the most important part of it all was to inspire and encourage other people that they matter and that they deserve a safe space to belong, to feel celebrated, and to feel not only accepted, but seen for the totality of who they are. I ended up taking a little bit longer to graduate here than normal because I was a bio major, and even though no one put pressure on me to be a bio major, I put that pressure on myself. But that was not a major that I was passionate about. And so when people ask me what you majored in at UCI, I usually say I majored in Kava Modern. And all of that led me to finally find a major I did love, which was occupational therapy. And so I went into just applying, and I got into USC, and all of a sudden, I went from kind of academic probation grades at UCI to straight A's because I was learning something that I really believed in, that really was who I am. And I ended up graduating. I got a job in my dream job, which is Children's Hospital Los Angeles. And then I finally was like, I'm living life. I'm dancing still. I'm working a job that I love. I ended up applying to and continuing schooling into the clinical doctorate program. And then I got benefits. So I finally scheduled that dentist appointment that I put off for many years. I finally got a full physical exam. And then that's when my life would take a turn for something I really unexpected. The nurse called me while I was at work that checked me into my physical and asked me to come back. You need to come back to the hospital right away. And I was like, why would I need to come back right away? What could it possibly be? My heart sank, and so I decided to take off early and head to the hospital. And I remember standing here and the doctor being all the way over there, and the doctor looking at me and saying, I'm so sorry, but you're HIV positive. And it was kind of like being in that Charlie Brown cartoon where you don't hear, it's just muffled. And I remember I couldn't even hear any of the data points or things that they were saying, the statistics and such. I just remember her saying that people have lived up to 17 years with this disease. And now I know that to be untrue, but at the moment I felt like what an utter disappointment. My parents might even have to bury me. I felt so low, and because the doctor was so far away, I also felt contaminated, dirty, less than human. I remember going to work and looking in the mirror and swallowing 17 pills, because that's what my medical regimen looked like at that time, and just crying my eyes out, thinking, all I see is death and limitations and a shadow of who I am. But my family and my friends never gave up on me, and so I wouldn't let myself give up on myself. And so I joined a support group, I got a new doctor, I got a case manager, and I tried to slowly piece the pieces of my life back together. And there were times where I felt like maybe it's easier if I'm not here anymore, like am I a burden to everyone I love? But my family and my friends would never let me believe that. And I have to say that my job as an occupational therapist and as a dance educator saved my life, because through my loved ones and through my occupations, I found my way back to myself. I found a sense of purpose that I could possibly still have something to offer the world. I got more educated on what I truly have, which is a chronic illness, and I started piecing my life back together. And that feeling drove me to finish occupational therapy school and be part of the first graduating class of the clinical doctorate program at USC. And every year that I worked my job, I started to find new ways and new reasons to create. And I found my way back to my purpose. I would say that although my diagnosis doesn't define me, it made me a better occupational therapist, more patient, more compassionate, more present. And I found my way to an organization called Culture Shock Los Angeles, which I've been a part of for 25 years. We did after-school programs, we did dance education events, we did benefit shows that told human stories. And one of the ones that changed my life was the color of we, because my co-directors picked the theme HIV/AIDS awareness partly as a tribute to my story. And hearing other people's stories, including my own, portrayed by my best friend Alan, helped me really realize that I'm not alone. We all have struggles, we all have moments that sometimes take the breath out of us, but we're not defined by any situation. We're defined by who we choose to become from any experience. And so through Culture Shock, I actually created a dance therapy program where I could take occupational therapy and hip-hop dance unlocking and together create a dance therapy program to serve neurodivergent children, kids with Down syndrome, a lot of the really amazing, beautiful kids who deserve the same opportunities we all have to be in dance studios and dance spaces, but are often shunned just for being different. And this has been one of the most rewarding experiences of my life, and it definitely set me on a trajectory to really believe that when we lean into who we really are, we can create really magical, important things. Then finally, at the age of 31, I finally came out as a proud gay man. Some were surprised, some were not. And living my truth led to a lot more opportunities to travel and to do some of my community work abroad. Embracing who I am led me to accomplish the biggest accomplishment of my life, which is meeting my soulmate and marrying my best friend last year at the age of 50. And that has taught me to really lean into the timing of your life, because your timing is going to be maybe different, but it's exactly where it's supposed to be. It's exactly where you're meant to be. And so there are 3 things that I want to leave with you that I think were really big game changers for me for reclaiming who I am and living in a way that balances community care with self-love and self-care. So the first thing is take time to pause and reflect. That might mean meditation or prayer. For me, it's both of those, but also it's been going to therapy and having someone just concentrate on my healing and what lessons I need to learn. And sometimes, we learn those lessons over and over and over again, right? Taking time to pause for me is writing in my journal. So I've done journal writing all my life, but very inconsistently. And now it's a part of my practice. I do it regularly with my husband, often right before we go to bed. And in those spaces, that's where I write things that I'm proud of, things I'm grateful for, things I want to still work on, things I want to celebrate. And also it's a time to really calibrate, again, those life lessons that you want to live. The next thing I would say is be kind to your mind. We all have those self-critical voices that are really usually not true, so we need to keep those in check, right? I remember also I decided to invest in a personal trainer, my amazing personal trainer, DJ, And 1 month into working out with DJ, he called me something that I had never heard in all my 40-something years of living. He called me an athlete, right? And being called an athlete and never ever seeing myself as deserving of that title completely changed my life because it made me feel strong. But he was just a spark. In order to really be transformational, I had to embody it and believe it for myself. And the minute I did believe it for myself, that mindset got me through many a tough workout, but it also helped me take control of my physical health and feel like I'm fighting for living here on earth with the people I love as long as possible. The last thing I want to say is schedule yourself in your own calendar. We're so great at scheduling our appointments, our meetings, our assignments, our obligations to other people. But we need to get better also at scheduling ourselves, like what enriches our soul, what refuels us and allows us to go out there and keep going in the world. So for me, so I use a written calendar and a Google Calendar, and everything in my written calendar and my Google Calendar are blue, because blue is my favorite color. And every time I see blue on my calendar, I know that it's not for other people, it's for me as a human being to have joy, to refuel myself, and to take care of myself. Like, how often do you schedule yourself in your own calendar? And maybe would you consider making that your favorite color so when you see it, you can allow your brain chemistry to change and know that you have a balance between what you do for other people and what you do for yourself. I now know and believe that we are not meant to live in monoliths. We are all connected, yet we're all extraordinary. And just like all the scales of a fish team together to help it navigate smooth and rough waters, all the parts of who we are come together to guide us to where we're supposed to be. And maybe if we learn to love all those extraordinary parts so deeply, maybe we can step into action individually and collectively to make this world a better place for all people. Salamat, danke, thank you.